President Jonathan Nez is the youngest president to take office in Navajo Nation history. He's widely supported by the citizens within the boundaries of the land. He's constantly building a stronger relationship with the presidential administration. Mr. Nez spoke to ABC4 Southern Utah correspondent Jordan Verdadero. They had a discussion about his life and what his goals are as the leader of the tribe.
Navajo Nation President Jonathan Nez says if there's one thing he wants people to know about the Navajo Nation is that the citizens here are resilient. Shanto, Arizona. It sits on a lonely ribbon of road about a 2-hour drive northeast of Flagstaff, Arizona. Navajo Nation President Jonathan Nez grew up in Shanto, an area known for its canyons, red rock cliffs, and ancient sandstone dwellings. Jonathan's family lived off the land and cared for livestock, but early on, his life seemed preordained for politics.
My grandfather was a lawmaker, actually sat in the chambers, the council chambers here in Window Rock for our community of Shanto, Arizona.
Nez's grandfather left his mark on Navajo Nation, but more importantly, on his grandson.
Probably one of the youngest community members to be sitting in a chapter meeting in my teens, late teens, early 20s.
He went to Northern Arizona University in Flagstaff so he could be close to home, and he would quickly follow his grandfather's footsteps.
I got my bachelor's degree. I came home and they said, you know what, we need you here in Window Rock. We want you to be our council member, that's the lawmaker of the Navajo Nation.
Navajo Nation is the largest reservation in the United States. It's more than 27,000 square miles, roughly the size of the state of West Virginia. And much like the topography, the socioeconomic issues on the reservation are vast and varied. The 2010 census reported close to 175,000 people live on Navajo Nation, and basic necessities are far from basic. 35% of residents do not have access to running water. 15,000 do not have electricity. 43% live below the poverty rate, and the unemployment rate is 42%. Another obstacle on Navajo Nation, alcohol abuse, a disease that once riddled many reservations across the U.S., a disease Nez's father battled throughout his life. While the hardships are many and may demoralize most, President Nez embraces the struggle and uses it as motivation.
Hopefully inspire those that are watching that, you know, it doesn't matter how you grew up. As you just put your mind and your soul to it, you can accomplish anything.
This is the mindset he's trying to instill with the citizens of Navajo Nation. It's referred to as Tahwa Ajitego, meaning self-reliance and self-sufficiency. President Nez is also working towards strengthening the tribe's relationship with the federal government.
That's kind of the foundation of our relationship with the federal government, that nation-to-nation relationship.
He points to the Navajo Treaty of 1868 when leaders of Navajo Nation were able to convince General Sherman and the federal government to allow their members to return home. He recently brought up the treaty to First Lady Dr. Jill Biden on her visit in April.
I think over time we have seen the federal government come in to where we have been so dependent on the federal government, from that treaty signing back to where support has been given, and we've kind of forgot that bootstrap mentality of ego, self-reliance and self-sufficiency.
It's been 20 years since President Nez devoted his life to public service, and pretty soon he plans to move on to the next chapter of his life. But before he steps down, President Nez will continue to instill self-determination.
That's the biggest challenge of the years of colonialization, of dependency, to try to retrain our minds and our people to think more self-reliance. And I think the era of self-determination is here, and you saw that through this pandemic.
Nez says he believes despite the loss of many lives and elders due to the pandemic, the people that make up Navajo Nation have been a prime example of resiliency.
Vision should be that Navajo people shouldn't have to leave the nation to get their goods and services. I want to see one day in the future non-Navajo people coming off the Navajo Nation, coming onto the nation to shop.
But Nez says it's important for the current presidential administration to follow the obligations of the Treaty of 1868, to keep its promises to his people of ensuring harmony within their lives, which is what he plans to do for the rest of his term. Mr. Nez says if you want to improve the lives of his people, to contact your local representatives and senators. Reporting from Navajo Nation, I'm Jordan Verdadero, ABC4 News.